Hi, I'm Danny, and today is May the 2nd. I started on December 11th, and I have now lost 63 pounds following the ketogenic way of eating. Now, from here on out, we'll just call it keto. It's more than a diet, so if you catch me calling it diet, disregard it, and it is actually ketogenic way of eating because it's so much more than just a diet. And up to today, I've lost 63 pounds, or actually up as of Monday. I actually weighed Monday. It may be just a smidge more now. Don't know for sure. Until I get below 400 pounds, I can't weigh every day because my scale at home won't do it. And plain and simple, I started this journey at 477 pounds. I don't think I weighed that on within a week of December 11th. When I started this thing, I think it was actually 3 weeks before then that I was actually at 477. That was the highest weight on a scale that I had registered, but it was real close to the beginning, the last of November, 1st of December. It was right in there. So anyway, as of now, I'm becoming less and less a man day by day. Anyway, so what is keto? We'll just call it keto from here on out. Keto is high fat, moderate protein, low carbs. And you heard me correctly, that is high fat. Now, there are a lot of you that, or maybe a lot of people that are out there that are listening, that are watching, whatever, that are going to start with all this stuff about, oh, it's not healthy, it's not healthy, it's not healthy. Just simply they're wrong. There are a lot of people that are already out there doing the ketogenic way of eating and doing YouTube videos and doing research at universities and just Dr. Eric Westerman from Duke University comes to mind. One of the big authorities, probably my big number one right now that I follow probably more than anybody, is almost a local guy. He's from Tennessee. His name is Dr. Ken Berry, and I'll put links in the description down here so you guys can find all these folks. There's Leanne Vogel, who does A Healthful Pursuit, and I'll link to her too. Ladies, she's a tremendous resource for the ladies. And so anyway, so what is this thing? What happened? What's the deal? Well, my weight became uncontrollable. My old remedies that I used didn't work. When I got out of the Air Force around 1993, I wore a size 32 waist. I would be hard pressed to be able to get them on my leg. Okay, so it was a slow, insidious process. It was literally the frog in the hot water. And by the time I realized that I had like a major problem, it was too late, and I couldn't do anything about it. I tried all kinds of diets. I tried all kinds of remedies. I tried exercise, tried working out, tried all of this stuff, and nothing really seemed to work. And I didn't understand what I was doing wrong. I mean, I'd cut back on a lot of stuff, and and tried to eat better, tried to eat healthier, and switched to stuff like whole grain bread and that kind of stuff. It kept the fat down. I'd peel the skin off of chicken, and I'd have boneless, skinless chicken breast and that kind of stuff. And I didn't get results. Now, some of you guys out there, you might get results. I did a lot of vegetables. My wife and I did tons of salads, and we really liked it. And I tried to consume more fruits and vegetables, and tried to make them fresh whenever I could, and it just didn't work. What I tried, I had tried working out about 3 years ago. Well, it's probably 4 years now. Probably 4 years ago, I got into a gym, and I had a good friend of mine who I trust very, very much. He's got a great background, a great education background. He's a physical therapy assistant, and he kind of geeks out on things fitness, and stuff. So, but he's not like the musclehead that you'd find in a gym. And I asked, I told him, I've got a problem, and he said, yeah, I know. He said, can I help you? Well, yeah, let's try it. And he said, okay, here's what we're going to do. And he took me to the gym and he set me up on a schedule. And he said, we're going to strengthen your core. He said, I don't want you to worry about lifting weights, about doing all that other stuff. He said, we need to strengthen your core. And he said, everything else will take care of itself. So that's what we did. And over the course of 3 or 4 months, I lost 11 inches off my waist. But the scale didn't move. And I was excited because I'm having to grab old clothes out of the closet that I haven't worn in a while. And, I'm getting excited, but, I didn't take any weight off my knees. When you're, at the time I was probably 450. So anyway, what I needed was a solution to be able to get the stress and the strain off my knees. So that didn't do it. So I thought, well, I'll just work harder at the gym, and ended up 3 times. I'd go 3 days a week at his suggestion. I'd go 3 days a week. I'd do high intensity interval training. I'd do 2 exercises. And then I'd break, and then I'd do 2 more exercises, and I'd do those with a Tabata timer, and I'd run the limit of the timer. I'd start off my day when I got to the gym. I'd go outside and I'd walk around the block, and the block that the gym was located on, if you go all the way around the block on the sidewalk, it was 1/3 of a mile. So I'd start off with a warm-up walk. I'd go 1/3 of a mile. Then I'd do my 2 exercises. Then I'd come back out and I'd walk another lap. And then I'd go do my other 2, and then I'd go walk another lap, and then I'd be done. So I'd do a mile a day with the 4 exercises, and that would be my gym time. And I drowned myself in water, drank a whole lot of water, felt good. Not going to deny that, felt great. I mean, the exercise was working for me. I felt fantastic. But I wasn't taking any weight off my knees, and I needed the weight off my knees and my ankles because my feet hurt. And, it didn't hurt all the time, but it's stress that I didn't need. I mean, I'm trying to explain this too much, and you get it. So anyway, I thought, after a while, I wouldn't leave anything at the gym. When I got in the car, I was thoroughly spent. And finally got to the point where I said, I feel like I'm leaving something on the table. I think I'm going to add like a half a lap, around the block again. I'll go like halfway around the block and just cut through the alley, and I'll be good. And my trainer advised me against it. He said, I'm not really 100% on you jogging at all. And he said, but you've done pretty well with it, and you don't abuse it. I'm afraid you're going to abuse it, and I'd rather you don't do it, but don't add any more. So I thought, well, he's not looking, so I'll just add some more. And I hurt my knee, and it took me out of the game about 3 months. And it wasn't something that required surgery. I didn't even take it to the doctor, but it swelled up and it hurt. I probably should have taken it to the doctor or whatever. Iced it and stayed off of it. Didn't put any, over the course of about 3 months, though, I gained back what I'd lost, and it was all futile. So what do I do now? Well, a couple of weeks later, my elbow starts hurting, and just kind of out of the blue, my elbow really starts hurting, and it's swollen and it's hard to bend. And I don't know what's going on, but I'm thinking, well, I probably slept wrong on it. Okay, so after about 3 months of that, I decided maybe this isn't going to go away. So my wife and I talked about it, and I went to the emergency room at the Veterans Administration, and they x-rayed me and said, well, you've got an avulsion fracture. Okay, good. So I said, I guess I'm going to get a splint or a brace. They said, no, we don't do anything for it, but you can't use it. I don't want you to lift anything. No gallon of milk, don't do any work with your left arm, but keep it flexible. Keep, range of motion all the way in, all the way out, and keep it flexible, and it'll resolve itself. It's not displaced. You'll be fine. So I did. And so I did everything with my right hand. And about 3 weeks after that, I broke my right wrist. So now I've got an arm that I can't really use. It's getting better, but it's not, it's not where I needed it to be. But then I had a wrist I couldn't do anything with. And I'm thinking it's just because I've overdone it and maybe I just needed to back off. You know, you have that hindsight 2020 thing, but come to find out I had hindsight 2020 with blinders on. And I missed some things. And anyway, it wasn't just shortly after that, you know, I'd wake up in the morning and my ankles were hurting. And it was hard to put pressure. Even sitting on the edge of the bed, just with the weight of my legs on my feet, was very, very painful. Very, very painful. And I'd have to sit there and just kind of slowly add pressure until I had enough pressure on them that I could stand up. And then I had to help myself to the bathroom in the morning. And it was very painful. It was very painful. And it, over the course of about the next 7 months, it got even worse. It got to the point where I really couldn't walk. And there was a lot of despair. There was a lot of darkness that went in there too. And I just thought, well, this is it for me. I guess this is how I'm going to check out. You know, and you know, I'd gone to the VA. I'd gone to my clinic in the VA and kept asking him, you know, can you run some tests? I mean, something is wrong. Something is wrong. I know me. And their response always was, well, have you thought about losing weight? Why didn't I think of that? You know, and I said, yeah, it's crossed my mind, you know. And so, you know, I heard one of the nurses keep saying things like, you know, if you have all this pain that you say you do. And it occurred to me, you know, after I walked out the door of the clinic, you know, I thought, yeah, I don't even believe me. I don't know what I'm going to do. And so that went on for 6 or 7 months. And it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. I couldn't get anywhere. Couldn't get any treatment. Couldn't, you know, they didn't have a problem throwing narcotics at it. But here's the deal. The narcotics didn't work at all. And I mean, I don't want to understate that. The narcotics didn't do anything at all for the pain. Zero. So, very concerned. A little while later, my wife ended up going in for a hysterectomy. And when they got in, they found a tumor on her left ovary, and that was it. Somebody was going to have to take care of her, and that somebody was going to have to be me. And I can barely take care of myself. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I went to the emergency room at the VA, and I just told them, I said, look, I'm not leaving until somebody runs some tests. You know, here we are. You know, I've tried. I'm tired of being patient. I'm tired of being the patient. I want somebody to fix my stuff and at least give me an idea of what we're battling against so I'll know what direction to go. And so the doctor that was in there recognized me from a job I used to have at a hospital just north of where I live. And he recognized me, and he had been reading my file. And he comes in the room after a long time. He comes in the room and he says, you know, Dana, he said, none of this makes any sense. He said, I think I know what's wrong with you. And he said, I don't know for the life of me why they haven't run tests. He said, I mean, it's plain as day in your record. You know, when I look at your chief complaint, and I look at your, you know, at the signs that you were given the clinic, it's pretty easy. It's a pretty easy diagnosis. I said, well, what is it? He said, no, let's let the labs do the talking. He said, the lab guy's up on the floor drawing now. When he gets done, he's coming straight down here. He said, we're not going to know the results for a few days. So he said, listen, I want you to wait 2 weeks, call your clinic. I'm going to flag the results. They're going to want to talk to you about it. In the meantime, I'm going to load you up with prednisone. We're going to give you a shot, and we're going to give you some oral prednisone to take. They're going to basically take your symptoms down. And he did, and it did, and it was good. For the next few weeks, I was all good to go. I mean, I could walk again, I could drive a car, I could do stuff. Starting like that next morning, I mean, I felt good. Her thing turned out not to be cancer. It was a tumor that had grown very quickly, and they removed it. They did the hysterectomy. Everything was fine. There was no cancer, no sign of cancer. So she was all good to go. But then, you know, in the course of that time, I had talked to my clinic a couple of times. My symptoms were gone, and we were elated because she was fine. So I didn't bring up the labs. They didn't either. And so about 4 or 5 weeks later, he calls me. This doctor calls me on a Saturday morning at like 7:30. And he said, why haven't they talked to you? I said, well, I don't know. I think that's probably a good question to ask them. he said, well, he said, I don't think they'd like what I have to say to them. So he said, I think I'm just going to talk to you. He said the markers came back, and he said, it's what I suspected. He said, the inflammation that's in your blood is through the roof. He said, I would imagine it does hurt. He said, your numbers are way out of whack. And he said, we've got to get these fixed. He said, now the bad news. I said, I thought that was the bad news. He said, oh, no. It gets worse from here. And he said, the other marker came back that you have rheumatoid arthritis. He said, Danny, we have to get this treated. He said, this is very, very important. He said, how are you feeling now? And I said, well, I'm still on the prednisone and still feeling pretty good, And he said, all right. He said, I'm not going to wait for them to do your referral. He said, I did it before I called you. So your referral's already been made. They will be contacting you at the rheumatologist office, and they'll set it up from here. And I thanked him, and I thank him again today because he saved my life. But I have rheumatoid arthritis, and that's something that they tell me is never going to go away. I say let's wait and see how that plays out. But I have rheumatoid arthritis, and so exercise is now off the table for me. I'm being treated and have been treated for some time now. That was a few years ago, and the therapy that they're giving me, which is not it's not biologic therapy. I'm not doing the Enbrel or the Humira or anything like that. I'm doing a couple of anti-inflammatories with some methotrexate, and it's doing the trick. But back to the issue of my weight, that's off the table. I don't have any more options. So what do I do? Okay, so bariatric surgery looks like the way to go. So took another long time, a year, fighting with the VA to get them to refer me to a bariatric surgeon. The only one that they would use is a clinic in Chicago that's tied in with the VA network. There's another one just about 5.5 or 6 miles from my house, and they do world-class work. So I thought, well, why can't you just refer me there? So I turned in a slip, and they filled it out, and they sent me to the VA hospital where they did all of my imaging, all of my stuff, all of the preoperative stuff. They wanted to see my veins, cardiac function, all of that kind of stuff. And that all checked out pretty good. I've got a little bit of enlargement in one of my ventricles, but I'm not going to say it's not a big deal, because it is. And so we're just going to see what direction to go from there. But the important thing is I had to get the weight off. So I made an appointment with the surgeon, finally got in. I had to leave the VA and go to another doctor. I had to get put on my wife's insurance so I could go find another doctor. And it took about a week from getting in there. And he was like, no problem, here you go. Got the referral, went in and talked to the surgeon. And the surgeon says, okay, so the insurance is telling me that you're going to have to lose 40 pounds in 6 months. So here's what I want you to do. Breakfast and lunch for a protein shake, and then eat a sensible dinner. I said, what's a sensible dinner look like? He said, well, try 4 to 6 ounces of maybe boneless, skinless chicken breast and surround the rest of your plate with vegetables. Well, I've done that over and over and over and over and over, and it doesn't work. I can't seem to stick with it long enough for it to work, because I get hungry, and then I get hangry, and because I'm starving to death, I'm not getting enough to satisfy me. And spent a year with a dietitian that did a real good job, but nothing worked. Nothing worked. So I didn't know what I was going to do, and I felt like that door had closed, because I just didn't see a way possible to lose 40 pounds in 6 months. I've been trying to do that for years and couldn't do it. If I could lose 40 pounds in 6 months, what do I need to talk to a surgeon for? So the very next day after the thing, and we left the clinic and just despair. And I looked at Tammy and I said, babe, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. And, so anyway, the very next day, as you can see, I'm a musician and I hang out with a lot of musicians. A good friend of mine who is a recording artist cut an album, and they did their CD release party the day after my surgeon visit. And while we were there, it was at my church, and one of the girls on the praise team that I am also on had lost some significant weight. And I've never talked to her about it. I didn't know what was going on. I just never discussed it with her. And we were standing there up against a wall, just side by side during this party. And I said, you look incredible. I said, how much have you lost? And she said, well, I started in August, and it was like December the 8th. And she said, I've lost, 47 pounds. Oh, what are you doing? Because I'm thinking, 40 pounds, And she said, oh, I'm doing the keto diet. I thought, well, she's got results, so I can't just blow it off. But I had Googled ketones, and everybody wanted to sell me something. So I thought, well, I don't know if I can afford this. She said, no. She said, Google ketogenic diet, and she said it'll open up for you. I said, well, what is it? And she said, well, it's high fat, it's moderate protein, and it's low carb. High fat. Well, that's interesting. She said, I know. She said, it takes a while to get your head around it. But I said, what's it look like? She said, well, what's breakfast? Bacon and eggs. Excuse me? I could have sworn you just said bacon and eggs. She said, I did. Do you like bacon? I said, oh yeah, I like bacon. And she said, well, in my world, bacon and eggs is a diet food. I said, I want to come and live in your world. And so she gave me some information, and I came home and I Googled it, and everything just kind of fell into place. First guy I find is a cat named Thomas DeLauer. And if you haven't watched any of Thomas DeLauer's videos, go watch him. He started off, he was over 300 pounds in business school, and was disgusted with the way he looked, felt like it was limiting his future, and decided it was time to do something about it. Fast forward to around now, he is the most photographed male fitness model in the world. He is, if you look at a extreme fitness type magazine, if he's not on the cover, you will find him inside somewhere in all of them. And so Thomas DeLauer, now he's not a doctor or a scientist, but he geeks out on this stuff. So I find his channel, and he starts talking about the ketogenic diet, and everything he says really, really, really makes sense. The next guy I find, almost in the same search, is a guy named Bob Briggs. And Bob is out of Kentucky. I haven't met him yet. I'd really like to meet him, but he goes by Butter Bob Briggs. And he released a video. It's a long video. Go find him. All of his videos are pretty lengthy, but there's lots of good information in there. Go find Butter Bob Briggs, and you'll find a video called Butter Makes Your Pants Fall Off. And I thought that was cute and funny and all that. And then I watched it, and he was describing me in his video where he talks about back when he was real heavy. That could have been me. I could have easily changed places with him, and he was talking about me. And so I took the information from there, took pages of notes, and decided, well, let's start this thing. So started that following Monday, which would have been the 11th, and it was, from there, it was just, I go to that doctor that referred me to the surgeon, and the lady who weighs me, the nurse that takes me in and signs me in, she weighed me, and she looks at me, and she looks at the computer, and she looks at me, and she says, you've lost 25 pounds since your last visit. I said, I have? She said, yes, you have. She said, what are you doing? I said, well, I started the ketogenic way of eating, It's just, I called it the ketogenic diet at the time. And answered the same questions I've already described to you. I'm not going to belabor the point. But anyway, so the doctor comes in, and he is into keto. This is something that he did in college, and it makes perfect sense to him, and he is totally on board. I lucked out, and I got a doctor that's on board. And so he's been like a great coach / cheerleader. I'd call him, I'm sure he doesn't have the legs for a cheerleader. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. He's a great guy. Love him. And but from there, it's just kind of gone crazy. And I've had a lot of people that are hitting me up. I start hearing things. People are walking up to me in grocery stores and in Walmart, and they're like, dude, you've lost weight. You've lost weight, you know. And I mean, they're looking at me like, it's not just a few pounds. I mean, look, you've lost some weight. And I'm thrilled. I'm thinking, you know, of course, I'm not really tracking things real hard, you know, and I'm just trying to keep my fat high and keep my carbs low. So anyway, up to today, I've decided to kind, you know, a couple of months ago, I decided to really kind of buckle down and let's look at this thing. Let's see what this is all about. And that's why we're here. That's why I'm doing this video. And I'm probably to the point now where I may be able to exercise a little bit, but there are a lot of people out there that have RA and have other forms of arthritis and different ailments and reasons why they're not going to be able to exercise, whether it's a not able or not desiring to, either way. And I want to be a demonstration that you don't have to be able to lose significant weight just by changing your habits. So if you're thinking this is something I need to take a look at, well, you're in the right place. And there's a lot of other places. I've mentioned a couple of them in the first of this video, and if you'll check the links below, you'll be able to find more. You're not going to hear anything new from me. You're not going to hear anything you're not going to hear on any other websites or on any other YouTube videos. You are going to hear what works for me. What works for me may or may not work for you. I've found what works for me. So the principles, though, are ones that need to be adhered to. And as far as you beginning this ketogenic way of eating journey, my first suggestion to you is stay away from the grocery store. There's no need to go and buy a bunch of stuff. Don't dive into Pinterest and think, well, I've got to get all this stuff and I've got to make all these recipes and oh, it's just woo woo woo. When you sit down for your next meal and you look at your plate, eliminate the carbs. Just eliminate the carbs. That's how you're going to start. It's not what you can eat, it's what you can't. There'll be time for the recipes and there'll be time for all of this stuff later. For right now, just eliminate the carbs and take away the sugar. Okay? Those two things are killing you slowly, but surely they are killing you. Okay? Remove the carbs. I said before, I keep my carbs to, or I may not have said this, I keep my carbs at no more than 7 grams per meal. No more than 20 or 21 grams of carbs on the day. Most meals, I don't have any carbs. You know, I have bacon and eggs, so I melt butter over the eggs. As long as I keep my fat high, I'm okay. And a lot of people will say, well, you got to really watch your protein. Okay, maybe. If you'll wrap your protein in fat, it'll take care of itself. Okay? No breads. Throw your milk away. You don't drink milk. Okay? No bread, no milk. Those two things are partially responsible for you being the way you are. Go through your kitchen cabinets. If you have any canola oil or vegetable oil, just throw it in the garbage. It's poison. You don't need it. It's not good for you. Stop it. Take the breakfast cereal and throw it in the garbage. Keep it away from your kids. You're poisoning your children with this junk, with this garbage. It's no good. Get in the cabinet and get in all your little secret hiding places and get all the Twinkies and the Ding Dongs and the Ho-Hos and the stuff and throw them in the garbage because they're killing you. Okay? Go through your house and take an inventory. Anything that is carbohydrate laden, throw it in the garbage. And begin eating whole foods. No potatoes, no carrots, no starchy vegetables, okay, so to speak. Green leafies are the way you want to go. Spinach, lettuce, kale, cabbage, whatever. Greens are great. They're great. Eggs, you can eat as many eggs as you want to. Bacon, eat bacon. And keep your fat high, keep your protein moderate, and keep your carbs low. It's pretty simple, and we'll get into more of this as we go. So now there's something else I want to talk to you about, just real quickly. I'm going to close up because this video has gone like way too long now. So what you're looking for, what I'm looking for, okay, is a new me. I am looking for a new me. I don't want to just lose weight. I want a new me, okay? I suspect maybe that's what you're looking for too. Something that I haven't heard a whole lot of the other folks in the keto community talking about that I feel that is very, very important is personal development. Because it's not enough just to lose weight. It's not enough just to become a new you on the outside. It's, like I said, you want a new you. And in order for you to get the most out of this way of eating and out of this new life that you're pursuing, is you get to become better. That's the real bonus, is that you get to become a better you. So there's some things I want to suggest to you that I think are very important. I think it's as important as anything else. And even if you decide into it that maybe this ketogenic way of eating isn't for you, I hope you'll stick with personal development. Here's the first thing I want to suggest to you. This is a book, and it's by Francis P. Martin, and it's called Hung by the Tongue. Let me see if I can get that in there where you can see it. My hand's kind of shaking, but anyway. So Hung by the Tongue by Francis P. Martin. It's a small book. It's just a little thin, book. You can read it a couple of times in a day and not have any issues with it. It has a lot to do with how you talk to yourself. What things do you say to yourself? How do you talk to yourself? Because those all go towards who you are. All of that information that you load into yourself, it gets in and it becomes a part of who you are. And if you've decided that you're just going to be just a failure and you're just going to be fat and you're not ever going to be able to do anything about this, then that's what you'll get. That's what'll happen. But I think better of you, and I think that you can do this. But I think it requires a change of mind. Okay. Also, I think probably everybody that's watching this is a fan of Fixer Upper. This is Capital Gains by Chip Gaines. You can see that. It's a great book and a great story, and the message that he has is really, really excellent, and I highly recommend it for you. Get it on CD, because Chipper reads that thing, and he's such a goob because he puts like voice inflections and he adds kind of sound effects and stuff, and you need to hear him say it. The stuff that he says is so important to helping you become the best you that you can. And I think that has everything to do with your success in this. It's not enough that you're just wanting to lose weight for whatever reason. What you really want is a new you. And so don't cheat yourself out of that. Do the personal development. So with every video and with every blog post that I do, I'm going to have another book suggestion. So hit the subscribe button down here, and you can leave your questions in the comments. If I can answer it, I will. If I can't, I'll try to find somebody who can, but I don't want to just leave you hanging. If you're here because this is important to you, then it's important to me, because this was important to me. I thought I was done for. I thought I was at the point of no return. And you may be thinking, this is my last chance. This is my last chance. Well, okay, then let's win this one. Let's win this one. You only have to succeed the last time you try. Okay? That's how it goes. So anyway, I'm Danny, and thank you for watching this video. And I'm sorry I was redundant and all of this other stuff, but I'm not really sure how this is going to go. But I know that my story is important. What's happened to me is important. Maybe not to everybody, but it is to somebody. So if I can help you, then I will. It's plain and simple. And I love you guys, and be the best that you can be. And I will talk to you very soon. Bye.